Hey everybody, welcome back to This Week on Steam, where we're taking a look at the next 2 weeks on Steam, unique and interesting games that I bet you didn't know were coming out. Now listen, there is like 200 games coming out on Steam the next 2 weeks. We're not going to cover all of them, we don't have that kind of time. But after the Christmas holidays, you have that kind of cash, so whether you're burning that money on a sweet porn game or something else that's coming out that's like $60 like the Atelier series, which I'm sure is happening, you know, we got those covered. But first, let's take a look at your free weekend games for the 3rd of January. That's tomorrow or today, depending on when this video actually goes out, because I'm real bad at planning. Let's start. Both the free weekend titles for Steam this weekend are just racing games. One's a VR, one's not a VR, so you got your choice. Most people aren't going to have VR. So the first one is called Grid. It's a multiplayer online racing game. That's really all I got for you. You race cars. You race cars against other people who are also racing cars against you. Pretty much it. After that, we have VR racing. So in this case, you just put on a headset and you race a car against other people who are also wearing VR headsets, also racing cars. I hope I have succinctly summed up the free weekend games for you for this weekend. If you like racing games, great. If you don't, it's going to be kind of a boring weekend. And now for some wholesome family fun, we've moved the porn segment to the beginning of the video, so that way you don't have to sit through all the rest of the stuff because you know what you're looking for anyway. Next up, we have Hot and Lovely, where you just play rock, paper, scissors, but they call it fist guessing, which is the best way I've ever heard that described. After that, we have super generic monster girl porn game where you probably just like fuck all your companions kind of thing. Then we have a game called Happy Engine where you just upload, like they're not even supplying you with porn photos, you have to upload your own. Pass. Then a game where you, stop me if you've heard this one, get transported to another world where you become someone else, like you're a fancy princess, and you run into different things than your expectations. End quote. I think they mean you're gonna get fucked by monsters. Then generic RPG game where they have way inappropriate screenshots. Way inappropriate. Then they have a game where they say you have to like train your brain to find that. No, it's just porn. They're just trying to, this is categories, but it's porn. Little tiny jigsaw puzzle game. Great. These never go out of style. I keep seeing at least 2 or 3 of these every single time I make one of these videos. Ophidius Tropical Cruise. Huh. And lastly, we have a card collection game that has an online mode, but it's a porn game. Does that mean it's enabled orgies for the first time online? Is that what we're talking about here? I don't know. Anyway, let's get into the real games that are coming out over the next 2 weeks, okay? Okay, we're gonna start January 3rd. First up, we have a game called Agent Emerson, which is not really a game. I know I said that, I lied. Just it happens. It's a 360-degree first-person POV VR film where you're the main action hero, and I guess you can look around and take a look at like what's happening all around the person in the film, which sounds like a crazy idea, probably honestly awful, but it's neat that they are starting to do this kind of thing. All right, then following that, we have Saber Fight VR, which turns you into a Jedi, except they just don't use the word Jedi or lightsaber. Instead, they say laser sword. That is very clearly a lightsaber. You are not fooling anyone. You just don't want to be sued, and I understand. Then after that, we have a game called Forest Woodman, which says immerse yourself in the everyday life of a simple forester in a large northern country. But judging by the screenshots, in one of them, he's going to murder a man with his shovel, and in another, it appears to be a walking giant lobster animal. And I don't know what they assume that normal life in a large northern country is, unless this is the northern country of Narnia. All right, I don't know that I've ever been more excited for a game than Wear a Rope, where I believe you have a ring and you just try to balance it and not touch the rope. And then, as if someone was doing this shit on purpose, after Wear a Rope, we have Push Sticks, where I think you just push sticks around a puzzle grid. I love how people are naming their games these days. All right, the next up game is called Gene Rain Wind Tower. It is what appears to be a Chinese game being released here. It actually looks like it's like a 50-50. It could go either way, either be an amazing third-person shooter game or an awful third-person shooter game. Okay, moving straight from there to the 6th of January, we jump ahead a little bit. First up is a game called Weenie, because I refuse to call it Ween, because that's ridiculous. But it sounds interesting because they say that you can change the direction or the flow of the story at any moment in time repeatedly. Then up we have a game called Lost Roads, which is a psychological horror game. I love it when people title their game psychological horror because it means they can do whatever they want and be beholden to literally no one because it's psychological horror. Okay, this is rad. So this is not a game, but up next is called a Hero Mini Maker, and it allows you to 3D model miniatures for like D&D or board games or anything, and then 3D print them. This next one looks just silly enough to be fun. It's called Construct, and you verse another player, and it's a split screen PvP, so there's no online or remote play. You're both trying to build a tower or a path upwards, and there's power-ups and different abilities that you use to just shit on your opponent while you're trying to do it. Oh my goodness. Why? What is it with solitaire games? What? Why is solitaire so fucking popular that we need 3 or 4 iterations of solitaire games every time I make one of these goddamn episodes? Nordic Storm Solitaire, we don't need it. It was fine on Windows fucking 7 or whatever, or whenever it came, Windows 95, where the cards bounce and it covers your whole screen and cards. That was fine. Just leave it. After that, we have a game that I know that looks fun, but is just probably not going to gain much traction. That's unfortunate, called Summer Games Heroes. It's like, Sega and Sonic at the All-Star Olympics, whatever that Nintendo game was, right? This has online multiplayer and stuff, but this game almost certainly is going to fail because there won't be an audience for it, and that is sad because it looks like it is chock full of really cool games. Moving into January 7th, first up we have a game called The VR Canyon, where apparently it enables you to feel like you're going outside without ever having to actually go outside, because going outside is dangerous and no one should ever do it, obviously. This allows you to explore a canyon, kind of rappel, I think, and climb and just explore. Honestly, I'm feeling like I might need to buy a VR headset if someone wants to do that for me. I think they're only about $1,000. Thank you. Up after that, we have a game called Reverse Quest 2. Now, this caught my attention because the text boxes in the game and the style are like straight ripped out of Final Fantasy Tactics. If you've ever played the old PlayStation one, I swear to God, they are one and the same. But they say that the battle system is based on something called Reversey. I don't know what that is. I can't even explain to you how the game works watching the videos and stuff, but maybe some of you out there already know what that is, so I'm just throwing it in. You're welcome. In a strange twist of fate, moving into January 9th, we actually have a horror game that looks visually interesting and different from most of the horror games I've seen. You're like, for once, not just in a house with a flashlight being chased by a monster. It says you wake up kind of in a train station, not sure where you are, and you just have to piece it together. If they construct a good enough narrative, this could be an excellent looking horror suspense game. After that, we have another unique title called Mythic Ocean, where you explore this narrative adventure-driven game, and your choices, I guess, influence the story outcome, and you get to do a lot of exploration underneath the ocean. You get to talk to all these gods who will shape and change, I guess, the fate of the universe or the game. So many bad VR games and clicker shit. Next up in the category of our game designers actually even trying anymore is a game called Labyrinth, where you just move a square down hallways until you get to the other square that's slightly more green than your yellow square. I don't know. All right, after that, we're moving into January 10th, and there's about like 35 games coming out on the 10th. If you're a developer, don't release on a Friday. There are so many other games, it's just not even worth competing. Release on Saturday, way less games. Pro tip for you, that one's free. First up, we have Orbit Blazers, which takes the idea of Super Monkey Ball and supercharges it to where you just fly down a corridor, jumping and flying and doing all this other stuff. This is what I'm talking about. Next up, we have a game called Fright, where it's exactly what I talked about earlier. You're in a house, gotta collect some pages, or gotta collect a certain number of some weird object, and you're being chased by a monster guy. Oh boy, I wish they would come up with something new. I always wonder, like, when you develop a game like Rock, Paper, Scissors Simulator, this took time. This took time out of someone's life that they thought it was a good enough idea to do this. This isn't even a multiplayer game. This is a single player game. Who's gonna wanna play a rock, paper, scissors simulator game against themselves? That is not fun. Next up, we have a really neat looking 4-player battle game called Dusk Warlocks, where you hop into an online battle and you use these giant spells to try and take out your opponent. And it looks like you can kind of customize and choose your different spells and whatnot. Now, I've been fooled before by a game called Toy Cars, trying to pass off the toy car element as a game. That one didn't work out really well, but this one called Pocket Cars actually looks really neat. It's an online racing... Sorry, just kidding. It's single player. Fuck this game. All right, you want to know how many games are coming out on the 11th? So there's like 33 games coming out on the 10th. On the 11th, there are 2. If you just bump your game by 1 day from Friday to Saturday, people are still on the internet on Saturday. I guarantee it. It's not just Friday, okay? But we're moving into the 12th of January because the 11th of January, as I said before, doesn't have a lot going on. And first up, we have a game called Model Railway Easily, which is a very strange name, but it allows you to model towns and train sets. Now, the reason I bring up this one is because I have friends who are really into trains who would dig this, and so I know that because I have weird friends that like that, there are other people out there that will probably also enjoy this very much, and it looks really detailed and neat, honestly. You know, if you're into trains. Did I say we were on the 13th now? I don't know. Anyway, we're on the 13th, just in case I didn't say it. First up, we have a game called Knock Harder Useless, which is, again, a very strange title, but the game premise is interesting. You're not sure if you're in a dream or you're awake, and the only way to wake up is to die. But if you kill yourself and you're not asleep, obviously that's a game over. I don't know how the game is going to handle it, but the art style and the setup actually looked very interesting, so definitely check that one out. Cursed Pagoda, I swear to God, is this solitaire game? Oh boy. I can't make this stuff up. I can't make it up. Game called Cursed Pagoda. Classic free cell solitaire combined with the story of the mysterious tower. After that, we have a game called Hollowhead, which is another awful flashlight trapped in your apartment horror game. They just keep coming. The tagline says something's wrong. I agree. The fact that people keep making awful horror games. This next one is just too unique and ridiculous not to include. It's called Spaz Taxi? Spat? I had no idea. But I think it kind of... Anyway, not important. It's a game where you control a flying taxi through a series of levels trying to deliver a passenger from one station to another, and you have to drive through all these different weird areas with like lasers and shit. Oh my God. Oh my God. Restaurant Solitaire Pleasant Dinner. Make the tastiest dinner and enjoy by playing solitaire. I swear to fucking God. Why? Okay, this is funny. There's a VR game called Shake Your Body. It's a virtual reality game with rhythmic music where you put on music and you can, I guess, kind of dance or something. But they say that there are 2 modes. There's challenge mode and what they call appreciation mode, which is code for jacking it time because you're going to be looking at these naked girls dancing. All right, moving right into January 14th, we have a series of games called the Atelier Dusk series. Each of them, I believe, on the Switch at least, we're going to set you back like $40. I don't understand the choice in releasing 3. I mean, I understand the Pokemon thing. You release 2, and they're like 2 separate things. But this is 3 games, and I don't know that it would... This is Let's just move on. Following that, we have an amazing game called Kill the Santa, where you perch up on top of a mountain with a sniper rifle because you're upset at you getting a Christmas gift that you were not very happy with, so you did what any sane individual would do, and you're gonna go on a murder spree and shoot people who are dressed as Santa. All right, this next one is really cool. It's called Bug Academy, and you control like a group of bugs, and sometimes you can have more bugs, sometimes you have less bugs, and it's like a physics game. It's almost a physics puzzler, really, where you use these little groups of bugs to either pick up heavier stuff or solve puzzles or move things from one area to another. It absolutely demands your attention. It is silly as shit, and it will be a great game. Moving into the 15th of January, we have a game that I'm fairly certain is going to be a porn game called Some Convenience Store, where it's a game of working and dating at a convenience store. It's not in English at all. And I swear to God, these girls do not work at a convenience store. There is no way these girls work at a convenience store. Unless that convenience store is secretly called Strip Club because it's actually a strip club and not a convenience store. Okay, just bear with me here. This is a horror game where it's called Alterity experience. It does appear, okay, let me just say this right out front. It does appear as though you're trapped in a house and something is coming to get you, but the guy is holding a cell phone, or it looks like a cell phone. It's probably like a otherworld communicator or whatever. But I think it shows you where bad things are kind of going to happen, and so you can kind of avoid them and plan your route through the house. This actually seems like it could be a really cool take on horror games. Oh, this is super cool. After that, we have a game called Light Matter. This is a first-person puzzle game where the shadows apparently kill you, and it's all about using light in order to light your way across an area or adjust an area so you can cross it or whatever the case. But if you step into the shadows, you die. This sounds and looks so cool. Let me pose a hypothetical. You can play a game called Toaster Ball where you, and possibly a friend, depending on if you have those or not, play as a toaster in a tournament where you try to block a ball from entering your goal. Serious game. It's called Toaster Ball. It's coming out on the 15th of January. I did not make a single word of that up. You play as a toaster. Fucking toaster. All right, see, now we're getting into stuff that I'm really intrigued about. Next up is called Spell Sword Cards Dungeon Top. This is a roguelike deck building game coupled with a tabletop battle simulator. It has a very Darkest Dungeon vibe to it with the colors and the faces and the design. This might be hot. This might slap. Honestly, I'm gonna try to get a key for this. This studio I've not seen made any other big games, but this one may be it. Moving into the 16th of January, our last day for this 2-week coverage. First up, we have a game called Tower of Shades, where you start at the final boss. That's right, the game starts you at the final boss, and each time you die, you add abilities, you add things to your character to be able to beat the final boss. And you do iterations and iterations and iterations. It's a game about a single boss fight, apparently. Probably not going to be very long, but at least an interesting take, an interesting design choice. And this next one, for those of you who follow this series, we're on Romance of the Three Kingdoms 14. I had to do some Roman numeral math. It said XIV. Listen, I don't want to hear it. It's fucking 14. If you've played the other 13, you're going to play 14. I don't even know what you do in these games. Let's just keep going. See, this is what I'm talking about. Next up is called Jukin Jigoku, which is a Japanese-themed horror game. Now, they explain this as being, this game is inspired by the fears and anxiety and doubts that students have to go through during their school life and exams. You break into a school with a flashlight and have to collect a number of exams before you can escape a fucking monster. Oh my God. You know what? I'm going to do a separate video just on fucking solitaire games. I really am now curious how many solitaire games exist on Steam. This one, the Solitaire Call of Honor, a mix of solitaire and a city building game. Who is buying this? All right, last up, we have Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Now, I never followed the Dragon Ball series as a kid, so I couldn't even tell you who Kakarot is. But this is kind of a different take on Dragon Ball Z. Apparently, this is like experience the life inside the story world of Dragon Ball Z, where apparently you fight and you fish and you eat and you train with a bunch of these characters, and it's like, it almost feels like they're describing it as a slice of life simulator for being in this world, but obviously there's going to be combat and stuff like that. It's just a very strange take on the Dragon Ball Z series. Anyway, so that's the last game. Let's wrap up. So that's it. Those were your 2 weeks on Steam from now until the 16th of January. So really quickly, before you turn this video off, because statistically, as soon as I go back to this view, you turn it off. You kill it, because no one wants to watch the wrap up, and I don't blame you. But if you're still here, check out these games, and if you like these games, wishlist them or follow them, because that helps the developers know that they're getting a following, that people are interested in their games. I don't need to wear this anymore. I can take it off. It's anyway. And yeah, as always, let me know in the comments if you end up picking up one of these games, or you see something you like, or you see something you want to see more of or less of, whatever. I'm always here. I love hearing that kind of feedback. If you want to get involved, you can join the Discord, where we have a ton of people just talking games all day, playing together, doing stuff. You can support me on Patreon if that's what you want to do, so I can keep doing this for you guys. I think it's very helpful, but maybe I'm full of shit. That's probably true. Anyway, but that's it. So we're gonna wrap up there. As always, let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. I enjoy talking to you guys about games, and until next time, burn bright, everybody.